Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Leverage Your Podcast Show. You are in for a treat today, and I'm super excited because it's like totally my favorite topic, talking about guests. And Steve Brossman, who has, I mean, there's too many things to say about you, Steve. You've been in the podcasting industry. You're a best-selling author. You have the best accent ever, and you love podcast guesting. So it's a win-win for me.
I can tell the people at home that we are going to have a lot of fun. And for you guys at home that are listening to this, whether it's live or whether it's a recording, jump in and have some fun with us because it's going to be an absolute hoot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I really do feel like the industry is very focused on podcast hosts and like sponsorships and monetizing. And it feels like there's not enough resources or not enough teachings out there that really help guests leverage and maximize the opportunities that they get from podcast guesting. So a lot of them are out there feeling really frustrated. Oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, yes, it does work. Yeah. Do you hear that
there
too?
is a lot of there's a lot of things that are going on out there, and podcasting has really come of age. And I'm just going to share a couple of not so boring stats, I mean, exciting statistics that last year, a company that I do some research with, they actually surveyed 17,000 businesses. And they said that in 2024, 87% of marketers said they're going to increase their spend or start spending in audio marketing. Now, I've been in video marketing since 2008, and I've been getting a report that's called the State of Video Marketing. Last year, it was called the State of Video and Audio Marketing. So podcasting is really now a fantastic platform. It's been taken seriously. And for those that are hanging around us, that start taking it seriously as a platform to grow your business and not just to have a chat and get exposure, they will be able to leverage it phenomenally.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, it's like, I feel like, I know it's a horrible phrase, but you can kill a few cats with one stone or a few birds with one stone. It's like, you can achieve so much, not just, as you said, getting that business exposure. Now, one thing you said out there on other shows that you've been on is that you talk about 3 relationships in a podcast. And of course, normally people are like, oh, it's me to the audience. You know, I want to get leads. So yeah, I'd love for you to elaborate on that.
Yeah, there are so many podcasts that I hear, and I actually feel as if there are 2 experts geeking out in the corner of a room with their back turned to the audience. And I'm sitting back thinking, those guys are having a great time. I wish I could go and play. And even when I was teaching video interviews, and it was always a 3-way coffee conversation, I would tell the people, it's a 3-way coffee conversation. Like there's 3 of us sitting at the table, and you and I having a conversation. From time to time, we'd be turning to the person to the side and, sort of inviting them in, even though they didn't say anything. But in pod guesting, when you think about the three relationships, and we do things a little different, and we'll obviously get into it. There's the relationship between you and I. Mm-hmm. There's you, the host, and me, the guest. Now, we had a pre-chat, and from that pre-chat, you're fairly excited about us having this interview. You've done a little bit of extra research. Your energy going into this interview is brilliant. It's nice and high. You can't wait to share some stuff. So that relationship starts before we even get on camera. So your job is to excite the host about what it is that you're going to say or other things that you could do together. Then there is the relationship between me and you guys at home that are listening to it, whether it's live or whether it's on the recording. I'm creating a relationship with you. I want to get to know you. I've done some work around who you talk to, who you serve, and how you serve them. And my goal is to give you some great value, but have a relationship with you now on camera. So from time to time, I might just say, hey, this is for you at home listening right now. Or, hey, Lindsay, this is just for your people. I've got this just for your people. So I'm inviting you in to have a relationship. Now, when we're doing that, I'm giving you a dose of oxytocin. That's the belonging drug. That's the, hey, Steve's talking to me.
Yeah.
If Steve says, pick up your pen, this is just for you, I'm going to pick up my pen. I'm going to put down my phone. I'm going to stop answering my emails. I'm going to stop doing all the other stuff because he's talking to me. But there's the other relationship. It's the forgotten relationship. It's between you and your audience. Now, I'm here because of you, and your audience is here because of you. And, if this was to be a sales pitch type of interview, I obviously, and it's from all the great work that you already do and the fantastic following that you've got, that you would know this. Now, what happened just then is I put you on a pedestal. I edified and elevated you in front of your audience. And that wasn't fake. You do some bloody brilliant work. That's the Aussie coming out of me. And your audience is seeing you in a different light and say, well, hey, Steve's got a bit of credibility and he's talking about Lindsay. That's fantastic. So my goal is to help strengthen that relationship. Now, I've just given you a surge of dopamine. It's like, I feel good, and Steve's the person that made me feel good. So I don't mind hanging out with him. And your audience is thinking, he might be a cool guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
So when you think about the three-way relationships and you're trying to enhance them during it, at the end of it, it's like, well, I don't really want this to end. I'm probably going to find some more information out about Steve, or go and hang out with him. So when people know how to do that, not just be two people geeking out in the corner,
right,
and everybody is having a good time, that's great fun.
Yeah. And I think it really adds to the energy. Like, I believe that there's energy in a room, whether it's Zoom or real life, or, you're by yourself, there's energy. And so I think that, when we're excited about what's going on, when we're passionate about what we do, it changes the dynamic and the listener's experience as well. But I like what you said about including the listener and referencing them. I think that doesn't come naturally to guests, but I think now that you've placed it there, they may think of it a little bit more. And I'm guilty of doing the same thing, honestly. But you're right. It's including them so that they feel like they're, part of this community or this private conversation. And it's just, they feel better and they have more element of trust, I think.
Yeah, when you're aware of it, and energy is everything. My last soon to be published bestseller is all about flow selling. It's all about the energy flow in the whole conversation and what's going on. And we talk a lot about the three relationships. And I got a girl just this week out of my training. She said, Steve, I'm only new at doing this. I've only done my 2 podcasts, but I followed your framework and system. And the host said, that was so fantastic. Can we book you for a series?
Ooh.
On her second ever podcast.
Holy.
Of course, it was everybody felt good.
Yeah.
And it was great information, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's that energy that when you deliver that different to anybody else, they will get off. I've had so many, and it's not because I'm super articulate and all of those sorts of things. But when you do that, I've had so many come off and say, Steve, that's one of the best podcasts I've ever done. And I look at the information that I gave and a few stumbles and all of those sorts of things. And I was like, really? But the difference was everybody felt good.
I love that. That's really good. So let's, for a moment, that's obviously one element of how to help podcast guesting and when you're guesting on a show be more impactful. You had another statement, and let me find it here. Oh, you said, be the prize, not the professor. I'd love for you to rant on that.
And it's not the fault of the guests. There's a lot of training starting to come out. Most of the training for pod guesters is all about how to be a good interviewee.
Mhm.
how to answer the right questions, how to get your message across. And they talk about three things. They talk about share your story, share your expertise, share a link. And if that's all they're doing, they might as well share the next three. Get on your knees, put your hands together, and then look skyward. And for those of you who are watching this,
Yeah.
you know what I'm doing. Hope and pray that something may happen if you're listening. That's what we're doing, getting on your knees and praying that something may listen.
Right.
Because if all you're doing is dumping your story and here is what I know, that's educating, not exciting. And there's a way that we help people get some great information out, but then, tell a story
Yeah.
and get them. It's like, wow, that's somebody that they've helped. I want what they're having. And if you do that a few times and you give somebody some great information that they could use and show them how they could use it, and they're not different to other people, then they'll think, damn, this is good information. And I want to work more with that person more than, arms folded and think, oh, that person knows a lot. Clap and walk out the door.
Right.
And be the prize. Show how, excite the guest, how that if you were to spend more time with that person, either doing their courses or whatever it is, and they get excited about the results that they could get, then that's you being the prize, not, wow, that person knows a lot. And
Yeah.
it takes a little bit to be able to have the confidence and the energy, not just to answer questions.
100%.
Hmm.
And guide the conversation in a way when the host is just question, question, question.
Ever since I was teaching video interviewing or interviewee techniques, I always told them it's a tennis match.
Mm-hmm.
The host will send over some information with a question. You'll hit it back. You'll go backwards and forwards. And the longer the rally is backwards and forwards, the more interesting the match is. But if you go on a monologue, that's like you just hitting the ball against the wall or just continually hitting the balls over the net. Now, sooner or later, you're going to run out of balls if you're just hitting the balls over the net. The other thing is with the tennis match, excellent tennis players hit the ball over the net, guiding the opposition to where they want them to go. We got a really advanced program where you hit the answer back over the net, guiding the host towards the next question. And as a guest, without being manipulative, you can actually guide the direction of the conversation. And when you're doing that with the energy and bringing the audience in, then that's a great way to know that you're going to get some great results out of that chat.
Yeah. I feel like part of it is the host needs to be interested in what you're saying versus worried about what the next question is. And yeah, like you said, it's that relationship, that energy, that going back and forth. And yeah, just
we spend in our training 2 weeks training on the pre-chat to have with the host before you get on. Now, there's multiple layers in what that pre-chat could do. It's to have a chat. And a lot of people say, oh, why do I have to have a pre-chat? I know where the camera is. I know where the microphone is. I know my answers. Is it just a tech check? No, it's more than that. First and foremost, you want to establish and elevate the energy that you've got between you. You've got a relationship. You and I now know, and we've had a chat, you know that we can go down any rabbit hole and we're going to get out of it. And so your energy is, I've got total confidence that this is going to be a blast. I don't have to tick off every question. You are very well prepared. And I'm confident that you're not going to put me on the spot. So that's the confidence there. And the host will go into it with lots of energy. The next bit, and here's how you can start leveraging. Now, you've got a business and you've got clients. Virtually every host I know has a business and has clients, and their podcast is to do that. One of the areas that we work with is how do we excite the host that there's something else that you could do with them more than just a podcast interview. And it might be, hey, listen, how about we do a workshop together? How about we do a joint venture together? How about we do this together? I got one girl, who in February generated $10,000 worth of income before the episode was filmed.
Sweet.
And that's all from how do you engage with the host and have a exciting pre-chat. It's like, damn, we got to do some stuff together.
Yeah.
And there's collaboration after collaboration. And here's one that you haven't heard yet, and you guys at home might want to write this down. The podcast episode is the doorway to open opportunities, not the destination.
Absolutely. I think a lot of guests miss that mark. They just have it in their heads that, oh, I'm going to get booked on a podcast and the host is going to open up all these doors for exposure, or the episode, I'm going to get all these leads for my lead magnet, that they don't see all the other opportunities.
They put so much pressure on the episode itself. Yeah, from the introduction, hi, welcome along to where do they contact you or whatever. There's like all the pressure goes into the actual episode itself. Whereas 80% of my income is generated outside the episode. Mm-hmm. And collaborations and all the different opportunities. You just never know. But if you go into it, and we've got a 4P framework they can work through, and they go in and think, yeah, I'm going to do a great episode. So if you're open to all of these other things, and you know, and you've got your reticular activator system switched on to, hey, they said this, they said this, they said this, and you might get to the end of it and say, everybody might say, well, that was a fantastic episode. And you say, you know, Lindsay, I've got a couple of ideas to thrash around that we might do something else together. Are you open to have a chat and have a see what we can work out? Because your people, this. So there's different ways to be able to leverage the podcast, but so many people put the pressure on the episode. Yeah. It's like, I've got to get more people to my lead magnet. I've got to get more people to my whatever. So
I know. And the amount of profits and revenue that you can generate just from nurturing those relationships, I mean, it could take your business to a whole new level. Now, let me ask you this, Steve. So it's hard for a lot of people when they're in the green room, when they're like nurturing that conversation, they've had a great interview, but to approach like, okay, what's next? I think people feel super awkward in knowing how to approach that situation without feeling kind of weird and super salesy. Do you have tips to help our audience for that?
Yeah, we should finish this in 3 days. Got a couple of tips on that.
Yeah.
The goal forever is, when I'm working with people, is how can I make them look the hero in front of their people? What is it that I could do to add value to their relationship so they are perceived to getting more value for whatever they've paid them for? So when you go into it like that, is you come from a place of serving. Mm-hmm. It's not the number of people that I get on a call with that say, hey, Steve, let's get on a call and see how we can collaborate, which is a short for, hey, let's work out how you can promote me.
Yeah.
It's like, mm-hmm. Whereas, hey, listen, your people like this, they do this. Would it be helpful if they learn how to do this so that they could get better value out of what they're doing with you?
Yes.
And again, it goes back to well, I opened up my first health club in 1983. So I've been around the block a little while, and I hated sales as much as the next person. But when somebody virtually said the definition that they had, and it's mine now, is professionally servicing other people's needs for a mutually beneficial gain. Now, I know your people listening to this are service-orientated people. They're listening to this because they want to get the message out and help more people. Great. Well, that's what selling is. Yeah. It starts with you professionally servicing other people's needs. Now, you as my collaborative partner, I want to service your needs by looking good in front of your people, by adding value to your people. And I've got on different interviews, podcasts, offered a program, and had calls with people. And they virtually said the first thing that they're going to do when they get off the call is thank the host for having me on to take money off them. But that's not exactly what they said. But basically, it's like, I can't believe I want to join your program, and I'm going to go back and thank them. So if you go in with that place of service, it's like, well, whatever I do is going to enhance your existing relationship with people, then they shouldn't feel icky about it and say, hey, I've got some ideas. Let's thrash them around because I got some things that might help your people.
And I like that. It feels like it's open-ended. It's
Yeah.
creating an opportunity to hear the ideas that they have. And you're not pigeonholing them into a certain solution or, hey, will you refer me to this person? It's more, how can we work together and
Yeah.
figure it
One
out
of the,
together, co-create.
yeah, totally, totally. One of the other things that people get hung up on is how many listeners do you have? What's your viewership? And you don't have to be on the biggest and the best to get some great results. And I tell people and I treat people that ask me to have a call about being on their podcast always as a $20,000 potential guest, from the smallest to the biggest. Not that I can take that money out of them, but I treat them with that much respect. It's like, well, hey, listen, no matter what. And I had one lady come to me, she says, Steve, I've only got a small podcast. I'm just getting going, but I really know my people would love your message. And I spoke to her and listened, and I said, yeah, they would. They'll get great value out of it. So we did that. And she said, oh, look, I've got a bigger community, not just my podcasts, that what can we do? And I said, well, let's do an event. So we did an event. And she loved it that much. She said, well, can I promote another one of yours that you've already got going? So we did one event with her, a small event, and she promoted as an affiliate for two more. That person that has not had more than 100 views on any of her episodes generated me $16,000 in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
By collaborating and treating them with respect and adding value to those people, it comes back.
Yeah.
And being open to more than, hey, I'm going to do a podcast for you. Here's my lead magnet, blah, blah. And no, it's how you can better serve in a better way with a wider range of opportunities.
Yeah, you never know what opportunities are in front of you, who their connections are. Even just making, and I think you've said this in another podcast as well, that other connections. So if I introduce someone to you, or like, oh my gosh, Steve, you would be fabulous guest on this show. It's just like making those other connections. There's other ways to support and help each other grow.
Yeah, that's one of the P's that we talk about. The 4 P's that we talk about is purchase. Somebody might hear, click a link, and sooner or later might buy from you. That's very linear, one off. Then there's pass on, refer on. I did an interview with a lady 6 months ago. She's referred me on to another person who said, this is Guy. He's in the top 0.5% of podcasts. And this week have been referred up to somebody who is number 54 globally, which is in the top 0.1% of podcasts. Yeah. So that's pass on. You do a good job, you make the host feel good, they just want to talk about you, which is thing. And then you've got the other two, which is partner and promote. So always have your eyes open for the 4 different ways that you can work with people to make them look good. And if I do a great job and been referred on to somebody else, they look good because they're a quality referee.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that people that are new to podcast guesting, that they aren't sure the right way of getting on podcasts, or they're very focused on, like, how do I get on the podcast that's only the top 1% or has so many downloads? I know you have a specific approach that you prefer to take.
There are so many lists. There are so many ways to get on podcasts, and we help people with a few. But the biggest thing is to be different. And that's what we work people on. It's like, what is your uniqueness? What is your unique message? And we teach people what's called a bankable story. Because most people, when they start telling their story, they'll say, once upon a time I was. But the end of the bankable story, and it could be as simple and as easy as 90 seconds, would be, wow, yeah, I want what they're having. The interesting thing, for you at home, get your pen ready right now. I'm going to give you the framework of the Bankable story right now. And it starts off with the JLM, the just like me effect. You pick the slither of your story that is most appropriate to the audience, not your whole story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people say, well, but what part of my story do I tell? The one that is most appropriate, where they will say, wow, that's just like me. So that's the first part of it. That's the slither of your story that starts just like them. And then that's that little nugget of your system or your training that got results, finishing off with somebody that you have helped get results. And that's the when Harry met Sally effect. You want them to think, wow, I want what they're having. And you can get that done in 90 seconds. I had one lady come to me and she's in a networking group. She said, Steve, I rearranged my 40-second pitch to follow the Bankable story flow. And not only did I win the pitch of the day, I had 4 business owners connect with me, which they'd never done before, wanting to know more about what I did. So if you are uniquely positioned and have that unique little story that is exciting for the host to have on because they want you on, you will start getting on more podcasts, more than being, I'm a life coach I'd like to speak on. Oh, get your pen back out. Here are some banned statements from our group. And Lindsay, you would have been to so many different groups and heard this over and over again. I am passionate about and I can speak on. Banned. Never say that. That's basically wheel out a soapbox. I'm going to stand on this, get out of the road because I'm passionate about it and I'm going to speak on it no matter what. So get that out of your vocabulary.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And you're so right. It's such an overused statement, that's for sure. And before we go, I want to touch upon how to monetize the podcast kind of without being salesy. But how do I phrase this? Sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. Why are podcasters not getting results from the episodes that they guest on, that they don't get those leads, like how they're asking for the next step for the listener? Because I find a lot of guests really fall flat in this area. And I know you do it ever so well.
Our group today, your audience, the people that have been hanging around us, hopefully having a good time and taking some notes, has seen a number of different things. There's some neuroscience in there, some energy in there, some hormones in there, some frameworks that you do before, some frameworks you do after. And I've actually put that together in what I call my back pocket guides, easy to read. And there's one that I put out, The Art and Science of Becoming a Six-Figure Podcast Guest. And we're going to make it available for your crew today. And that's one thing that I've just done that I teach people to do. Don't wait to the end and say, Steve, what do you got? I have a free gift so I can get your people's email address and spam the hell out of them. It's like what people do. So normally what would happen is like, well, I've given a great tip. Yep, this is fantastic. Look, I've put some of that information in something just for your people. We'll talk about it at the end. So we've covered a whole heap of things and I've got this available, but you're going to give them the link a little bit later so they can do that. When you do what we've spoken about today, we've got the energy up and they know that you've got something else. They know that you've got something else. It's like, well, that's tied to that. Instead of just a free gift lead magnet so I can spam you, it's like, hurry up and give us the damn link.
Yes.
I want it. That energy, it's the energy flow from there. And then the next bit needs to continue the energy, whether when they download it, there's another quick video, there's another taste of you. Mm-hmm. You've got to keep the energy flow, not, wow, that was great. And
nothing.
Yeah. Or a cookie cutter email. Yeah. It was like, then it's like, oh, geez, I'm on the spam list. Okay. I'm on the sales list. And then, and again, another band thing. You guys are getting a lot of stuff today.
I know, this is awesome.
Then they'll say, let me book you in for a discovery call.
Mm-hmm.
You drop energy 37% by calling it a discovery call.
Oh, heck yeah.
Everybody knows it's a sales call.
Yeah.
So give it a high value title. What is it going to be? We do preeminence and prominence, preeminence and persuasion, an authority unpack call, all the different things. There's perceived value. You want to keep the end. I'm looking forward to it, not, I'm going to put my credit card in the other room.
Yep.
So there are so many little things.
Yeah.
And going back to a bit earlier, the reason relatively new or inexperienced podcasters have trouble is they don't have a framework. And when you don't have a framework, you're going from here to here to here to here. You're worrying about what the next answer is going to be. You're worrying about how to do the next thing. Our people have frameworks and they just think it's just so much easier. It's like bowling with the bumpers up.
Yeah.
You don't fall down the gutters. You might bounce off a little bit, but you always come back to, here's how I can have the conversation. Here's how I can engage the people. And here's how I can excite them about what the next steps may be. And when I see transitions in people that go from, like that girl this week, I'm only new on my second podcast. I got asked to do a series. She was just glowing.
What a boost of confidence. Absolutely.
Oh, unbelievable. So it's so gratifying because that is a real framework and a platform to also grow the confidence in their business.
And I think too, sometimes people think, well, I don't have the talent. I don't have the natural charisma or whatever that magic is. But it's like you can learn these tricks and tips, as you've said, and you have shared so many little stories and little, seeding, little sound bites throughout this episode, which again, some people think stories are really hard, but you're a testament to how easy you can weave those in. And I like how you don't leave the lead magnet or the resource as an afterthought at the end, that you can take control and weave it into your conversation. Great tip.
Yeah. And we started, when we opened up my health club in 1983, I told all of my people, you do whatever it takes to get somebody started today. Because if we didn't, we would see them 6 months later, 6 kilos or pounds, whichever country you're in, heavier. And the only exercise they would get would be to run across the street to avoid seeing me. And when we saw those people, we thought, we have let them down.
Yeah.
Because we knew we had programs. And all of you listening to this know you've got something, you have a business, and you believe in what you do. It is your right. It is your duty. It is your obligation to share it with people and do whatever it takes without being pushy.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes to help them get started on your program and then deliver results. That's the big thing, is like, well, if you learn something, you learn a new way to be able to help more people, that is valuable. That will achieve your goals 2 ways: helping more people and being more financially stable to help more of your loved ones and family.
Yeah. I'm sure we went over time, but I just had to ask you more questions, and you were sharing so many good nuggets of information. And so can we share that resource that you mentioned for the audience? I want to make sure that
the back pocket guide is going to be in the links as well. And I think by the time this is coming out, I've got some training. If you could put up with hanging out with me for 25 minutes and you want 90 minutes of nuggets, Lindsay's also going to let you know, well, we've got some training coming up that you can come and hang out with me just for that little bit more. But it'll be my pleasure and honor, and I'll be blessed to have you along, have some more fun, because it is fun, and see you there.
Yeah. And when you can learn some little tricks and tips and strategies to share your voice and your message and to make the conversation more enjoyable and engage the listener, I think it just makes podcast guesting that much more fun. Like, enjoy what you're doing.
Absolutely. I've had a blast, and
Me
very
too.
rarely do I say no to being a guest on podcasts. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, because I know your audience would really super value this, because the people that you do work with, and when you can enjoy it, your
Yeah.
energy is different.
Yeah.
I mean, people sitting on the sideline is like, these guys are having so much fun. Well, yeah, come and join us. We're having a
I know.
blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to make sure people know they can go to Brossman.com, and it's /6 FIGPOD, and then obviously SteveBrossman.com. Is there anything else people should know on how to connect with you, or how to
I'm
find
very
you?
old fashioned. I actually do reply to emails myself, not a bot.
Same.
And I make it nice and easy. If you've got any questions whatsoever, if you missed it, or if there's something that you want to catch up and ask me, it is just simply steve@stevebrossman.com, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I love that. I know you have to be personable and responsive. No bots on my end either. I so appreciate you. I'm glad we finally connected and got to talk about our favorite topic. And yeah, I'm thrilled to share your resources and the upcoming masterclass. And I wish you all the best and
Yeah,
helping
you
our
keep up the
podcast
great
listeners.
work, Lindsay, because what you're doing to helping those that have got their podcasts and everything, the way you're helping them leverage it, is just phenomenal to
Thank you.
spread it out there, because a podcast is nothing if it just sits there. You're helping people get it out to much more people. So we appreciate you in this world as well.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right,
Most welcome.
folks.
Cheers.
Yeah, we'll say goodbye to you for today, and we'll see you next week on the Leverage Your Podcast Show.